Hello and happy first day of spring. It being the first day of spring, I thought it would be a good day to announce a bit of a new beginning for myself, politically speaking. I've been doing a lot of reading on the Gilded Age and the Progressive Era. And if you don't know about the Gilded Age, it was a time in American history with a lot of wealth inequality, bad working conditions, a bad economy. And I find that in a lot of ways, it's very similar to the situation of today. In a lot of ways, we're actually worse off today than we were back then. So, since we find ourselves in a sort of second Gilded Age, I think it's only logical that to pull ourselves out of it, we're going to need a second Progressive Era. And that means we're going to need politicians like Teddy Roosevelt and Fighting Bob La Follette. And so that is my announcement for today. Inspired by the platforms and the history of Teddy Roosevelt and Bob La Follette, today I am declaring myself a Roosevelt Republican. Like Teddy Roosevelt 100 years ago, I believe that the problems we face today call for the same square deal that he offered Americans back then. Americans deserve a square deal. Americans deserve the three C's platform that Roosevelt ran on: control corporations, consumer protection, and conservation of natural resources. Those three things are important because corporations are more powerful now than they were back then. Teddy Roosevelt didn't have to deal with the centralized bank system. Now, the big banks, they run the whole economy. We got to get them in check. Consumer protection, we're dealing with PFAS. The word's kind of gotten out to the public, and we've learned that we've been poisoned over the last 6 decades, by DuPont and 3M and all the businesses that sold their products. Their internal documents, it came out in a court case not too long ago. Their own internal documents it proves that they knew that the chemicals associated with Teflon and Stainmaster and all these other branded chemicals and products, they knew they caused cancer, but they suppressed it and they continued selling more and more of it. They've poisoned the whole world. The world's water supply is now poisoned. Our blood is poisoned. You won't find anyone that doesn't have PFAS in their blood. It's criminal. And conservation of natural resources. We're losing more species today than we were back then. Monarch butterflies were just put on the endangered species list. Who would have thought that would ever happen? So, yeah, the three C's: control corporations, consumer protection, and conservation of natural resources. We need more Roosevelt Republicans that will fight for these three issues. And if you, like me, I've been independent for many years now. If, like me, you don't like the political parties, you try and stay away from both of them. Remember that Fighting Bob La Follette, he gave us the open primary in Wisconsin, and that was a gift. That means on the day of the primary election, you can walk in and vote for either ballot that you want. You don't need to pre-register for a party. His idea was that we would, by making the primaries open, we would turn them into public utilities. And that's how we need to use them. That's how we need to view the primary elections. So if you normally don't feel like you're a Republican or a Democrat, it's still important to vote in those partisan primaries. Um, so yeah, I am now a Roosevelt Republican, proud to be one, and I hope I can earn your vote in the future. We'll see what elections I join, if any. Maybe I'll just find other like-minded people and support their elections or their campaigns. But either way, I think it's time for a second progressive era in Wisconsin and in America. So share this if you agree.